Right, good morning, Gareth Thompson. How are you?
Very well, Gary. How are you?
Yeah, good. Appreciate you coming on. Have you managed to get a day off? Are you on a job or?
No, so last week I was on a kitchen respray job that sort of had a little problem with, but which sort of fell into this week. On Tuesday after the bank holiday, I'd sort of gone back to rehang the doors and sort of finished that job. Uh, so the rest of the week is working on my other project, Spray Dogz.
Well, do you know what? We may as well get into Spray Dogs and then we can, through conversation, find out when you started and all the other bits and bobs.
Yeah, that's good.
But I'm particularly interested in Spray Dogs because we done some merch for you, some t-shirts and stuff and beanie hats, and I'm
Yeah.
not a sprayer.
No.
So I would love to know what you're up to. So what is Spray Dogs and how did it come about?
So Spray Dogz is a hanging system really to work with. Um, the most well-known one is the PSDR system from Paintline. So it basically uses fancy coat hangers, let's say. And I'd originally was put off buying the PSDR system a couple of years ago because I wasn't happy about the idea of drilling holes in the door edges and uh, screwing cup hooks in. Now, having done research, people don't seem to bother about that. They'll either fill them or put them on the bottom edges. But something just didn't sit right with me from that.
So
Um,
the system you're on about, you've got to actually physically drill into the door at some point.
yeah, you sort of drill into the blind edges, so the bottom edges or the top
Okay.
edges of the cabinet doors, and the same with the drawer fronts. So you'd sort of drill a pilot hole in, screw a cup hook in, and hang on the hangers. Or actually, the paint line system sell their own sort of hooks that fit into you know, the the holes for the cabinets hinges.
Hinges, yeah.
Yeah, so having looked at all the available sort of things that were working with that system, I wasn't keen on anything. So damaging the door edges was a no no for me, and the 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 sort of hinge clips that were being sold by Paintline and other the EFC clips sort of looked like potentially you could sort of damage doors by dropping them while
Okay.
moving them about from your sort of spray booth to the hanging rails.
But
So that's how.
not particularly secure. Or
Well, I think it, they didn't look secure to me. Let's put it that way. So I'd sort of come up with this alternative system that actually um, fixes via a screw, and there's a hanging loop, so you're sort of fixing into the door itself, or using existing knob or handle holes to use to hang from, to use as hanging points, and that's how it was born, really.
yeah.
Um,
So did you just like experiment with bits and
Yeah, I
bobs
mean,
and
I
then
bought some. Yeah, I bought some sort of stuff from Amazon and places like that, and sort of built some prototypes and came up with some ideas. A couple of things didn't work, so I originally had the idea of maybe short screws into the where the insert hinge goes into the hinge. So fixing into that, all that didn't work because the screws weren't long enough and wouldn't hold, and then the idea basically came round to where I am now.
yeah.
Um,
So Spray Dogs and it's Dogz, right?
yeah,
Um,
good job you got that right when we printed the merch up.
yeah. Um, so what does it resolve then? What's the key if you were to tell a sprayer? Because like I say, I don't spray. If you were to sell it to a sprayer, what's the differentiator of what you provide?
Well, it's just you're not having to drill into the door edges onto an edge that's potentially seen from
Yeah.
the client. and it's a solid fix. So you're actually fixing into the substrate of the door, whether that's MDF or solid timber. You know, you're actually getting a solid fix, and that's the main selling point, really.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So,
When does it go live? When are you when's the
so
website up?
basically everything's ready to go now, apart from the system's going to be sold in various sort of compartment boxes. So I've got some stuff here to show you. So the
Yeah.
first system is sort of just a plain cardboard box. So it'll all be packaged in there. Um, that'll be the cheapest way of buying the product. So, and then we've got a compartment box here
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I can
that
see
I've
it. Yeah.
printed up.
So is there like various sizes or one size?
No, I mean the kits are going to be all the same size, but it's going to be sold in different boxes. And
So
then we
just quickly, so we're on the 9th of April today, so it's available from
hopefully by the end of the month, and
okay. So
because
for
what
May 2026 we'll be looking.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, what I'm waiting on is I've got sort of a product what I'm sort of calling the dog's bollocks, which is the product being sold in a Thanos Sustainer box, which I think looks fantastic.
Mm.
What we're having problems with at the moment is getting the logo printed up onto the acrylic lid of the box, because it's a clear box. It's a compartment box, but the guys who I'm working with on that are just struggling to get something. So that's the hold up. That's the only thing I'm waiting on at the moment is the Thanos Sustainer boxes.
Yeah.
That's going to be sort of the top end price wise, but as decorators, we all love a Thanos box, a Sustainer box, don't we, for
Yeah, we
keeping
do.
stuff in. So, you know, I mean, what we've got in the actual product itself. So that's the Spray Dog itself,
Yeah.
which is the hanging loop, what you've got there. So either the system works by actually pushing the screw through the nut end there, and then you screw that into the door or the drawer front. So that will be used on the hinge method. So if you're either using, you know, the normal sort of kitchen hinges, you can screw into the area behind the base plate. And I've got a sample door here to show you in a minute. So each pack will be sold with 100 of those, 100 wood screws, 100 of these thumb screws, which work when you push the screw through the spray dog, but that's for using through existing knob or handle holes.
Yeah.
So that pushes through there, then tightens up, giving you the hanging loop there. We've got 50 small C-hooks, 50 longer C-hooks, so they're 100mm, that's 200mm. And that's your kit basically. So you've got the ability to hang and spray 50 doors, which, you know, generally a kitchen's somewhere between, depending on sizes of kitchens, anywhere between 30 and 40. You know, sometimes it can stray into the mid 40s. But with my system is I know a lot of sprayers sort of will spray the drawer fronts flat or certain pieces flat because there's nowhere to hang anything from. With my system, you can hang anything, you know, so the drawer fronts, panels, everything really.
So for you, when you use your products and say you've got 40 odd doors which you spray, do you take away doors and take it to a spray booth, or how do you do it?
Yeah, so I don't have my own unit or anything at the moment, which hopefully, you know, in the near future, I'm hoping to sort of line something up. I have a unit I can borrow off a friend who does something similar.
Mm.
So if I've got a kitchen in, I'll sort of go and use his unit, his workshop, which works for me. Sometimes, I mean, I did a job just in February where there was enough room in their kitchen diner to sort of set up a spray booth in there. I mean, I took the room over and just set up a spray booth in there and sprayed it on site. So each job's sort of different really from that point of view. But, you know, I do like the idea of potentially sort of having a small unit with a workshop and a spray booth in it. Because I mean, the biggest problem is from doing them on site is finding somewhere that's clean enough. So, I mean, in the past, I've done them in people's garages and stuff like that, taken over. And it's an area you can sort of keep clean, but it's the temperature. You need the temperature to be right. Yeah. So the time of year when you're doing a job like that in somebody's garage is critical because things just don't dry, do they? You know, after sort of September, October time. So things are
really
different.
Interesting what you're doing. I'm all for supporting painters that have come up with different ideas, and you know, I think it's excellent that you've created something. In terms of price point, do you know? Well, you know what it is. Do you want to say now, or do you want to wait until the website's up and then we can give all the details?
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather wait. I mean, I'm sort of
Fine.
still working on.
Yeah.
Because the sustainer box is sort of the Spray Dogz in the sustainer box is sort of in my opinion, it's a hero product. Yeah. It looks great. I mean, we all know how much Thanos sustainer boxes cost, so it's obviously it's on the higher side of the price.
Yes.
Certain products will suit certain guys better because the sustainer box is probably something, or the compartment box is something for the guys who sort of maybe go from site to site spraying their kitchens, whereas, you know, the option in the cardboard box is for guys who potentially just have their own spray booths and can just empty stuff into their own sort of containers and work like that. You know, I'd happily sell the product in the sustainer box to everybody, but
I think they do
an
look
option
cool, actually.
for everybody, really.
Yeah, and plus you can stack them as well, can't you? Like in a box and stuff.
Yeah, we all get a bit sort of crazy with sustainer boxes. We love stacking them up, and it's a great system. Don't get me wrong, I love it.
Yeah. So what's your plans for it, Gareth? Obviously, you want to sell tons. What have you? Who have you reached out to? Like, what's your dream? Would it be to be in various merchants, or are you just going to sell direct and see how it goes, or what's your plans?
So the plan to start with, Gary, is selling from my own website. So I've got my own sort of website for my decorating business, which is really successful, and the guy who runs it, since I've started working with him, I mean, my own decorating business has flourished. I can't believe how much work has come through in my website. Yeah. So obviously I've got Will on board quite early. I'd sort of mentioned my idea to him way before I'd started sort of getting it produced. So he's on with that at the moment. So we've got a website, a small website where people can go and sign up for a newsletter, which will sort of inform everybody of when the product's actually going live, and you know, there'll be some discount codes on that for people who want to buy in early. Yeah. But at the moment, it's just set up as a kitchen table business, which, you know, the kitchen table isn't big enough anymore, really. But
no, I mean,
you know, I'm going to sell it through my own website.
You don't know until you try, do you? And you know, I think it's brilliant. It looks like you've got a great product. Have you been in touch with like training academies that do spraying?
Yeah. So as you remember, we spoke to each other at the trade show in Coventry in November, and I'm a regular visitor to the event anyway, but this year I'd sort of gone with a different idea of sort of hawking my sort of Spray Dogz around a little bit.
Yeah.
Wasn't sure how it had been received. I'd sort of gone with my satchel full of sample bags on the sort of sly, and because I weren't sure how how people sort of would view me sort of walking around trying to sell a product. But I mean, it worked
Everyone,
out. Everybody's
everyone's selling to each other, so
yeah.
you know, good for you.
So in the queue before the event, I was sort of walking up and down the line, chatting to guys, sort of getting email addresses, sort of giving my sample bags out, asking them for feedback. Um, I'd done that and chatted to Pete Wilkinson there, showed him the product. Sort of, he said, "Yeah, gives a few. I'll put him in the training academy, show them to the students." Obviously, Ian was there as well, so I've left some samples with Ian. The guys at a board, I'd sort of left
Okay.
some there, um, and just chatted to guys who were sort of walking around like I were, just asking them if they were sprayers, kitchen sprayers, just picking up on things like that, and just chatting to people. And you know, on the day I got some really good feedback from people who sort of thought similarly as I did. You know, they weren't keen on sort of drilling sort of holes in the sides of doors. So you know, it was a good sort of lesson for me really, that I felt vindicated in what I was doing. You
Yeah.
know.
There's a few in my group that spring to mind, like Ian Elliott. He's got his own spray booth. He's based
Yeah,
in Northeast. Martin Reynolds as well does a lot of spraying.
yeah,
Obviously, I do work with Dulux Academy as well.
yeah,
You know, so there's so many options for you. Uh,
yeah.
and
And I'd
obviously,
actually sort of,
you know, run Spray Wizards as well, which is run by a couple of people that know how to spray.
yeah, well,
Um,
I've posted stuff like on there and a few areas as well, you know, just sort of trying to bring
yeah,
highlight to the website and the product.
yeah. I think it just takes time, doesn't it? Like I was saying before we come on, like Brush Wizards, like nearly 5.5 years ago now, I started it,
Yeah,
and it just takes time to sort of build up your audience and build some trust and that kind of stuff. And I'm sure it's going to be really successful for you. And obviously, I'll help you as much as I can because I want to
oh, that's
support
great, Gareth, thank you.
fellow painters, you know?
Yeah,
So I think it's great. So yeah, we're excited for it to come out in May. You need to
yeah,
let us know. I can put the website on like the show links and stuff in the descriptions.
yeah,
Um,
that'd be great. And maybe we can sort of, I can do maybe a prize draw or something like that on Brush Wizards for guys to guys to
yeah,
win one, you
yeah. Have you
know.
got a
Or,
Facebook page set up yet for you?
yeah, there's a Facebook page, there's an Instagram page, there's obviously the website I mentioned earlier, spraydogz.co.uk,
Yeah,
where you can sign up for the newsletter, like I said.
yeah.
Um, Socials is a bit of a thing I'm not great on, but um, you know,
I think, like you say,
it's what it is.
socials
You
are,
learn. I'm learning lots of things doing this that you know I've never done anything like this before.
yeah. Socials are tough. They're tough to grow. They're tough to keep people engaged. But you know what you're doing is if you can speak to various communities and get involved with them, then you've got a ready-made audience potentially.
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah,
on your
that's what I've
own,
been trying to do.
you know, that's why I enjoy doing podcasts because you got like a long form one, which we do now,
Yeah,
but then you can create lots of content around it as well, which is good for other socials. But
yeah,
you know, I've got a lot of respect for creators that do content all the time, you know, on site, various product reviews, because it takes so much work and to edit it all. And
oh God,
it's a hell of a lot of work if you're working
yeah,
full time doing painting and decorating. Yeah, I've got a lot of respect for the. That's probably why there's lots of people do it, but there's only probably a good dozen that stand out that do it instantly and do it to a high standard, you know, because it takes so much time. I don't know how people do
yeah.
it.
I mean, there's a couple who spring to mind. I mean, Phil Beckwith is somebody who I spoke to at
Yes.
the show, and I like what Phil does. Um, Pete from Paint HQ, who's a sprayer, and he's a
Yeah,
fantastic educator.
yeah,
I mean, I we'll get onto this later, but I've been decorating a long time and sprayed back in the day when equipment was a lot worse than than it is now.
yeah,
So I'd come back to spraying probably in the last 5, 6, 7 years, perhaps,
yeah.
and sort of started from scratch again spraying. And Pete at Paint HQ, who I've got to know recently over the last couple of
What's
years in
Pete's
meetings.
surname again?
Pete's surname is I can't remember,
Not
but
Wilkinson, is it?
no, not Pete Wilkinson. No, it's Paint HQ is sort of his
Anyway, we'll find out.
YouTube channel.
Yeah, yeah,
And he shows that he works with Sure Tape and Kip down at the trade show. He often works with Sprayman as well, sort of on their sort of spray days at the trade show.
yeah.
So, but he puts fantastic sort of educational videos out for decorators who are looking to get into spraying. He makes everything seem really easy.
Yeah, yeah. So
You know,
you've been painting. We were saying earlier for you don't seem old enough to be painting for
thank you.
40 years or whatever. So you sort of domestic painting, decorating, done spraying ages ago. Come back into it. Everything's changed, like the technology, machines, and all the rest of it. What do you tend to use now? What spray equipment
Greco, I go for.
do you? Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, when we say I came away, I only came away from spraying. I've been in the trade
yeah, yeah.
constantly for the last 40 years, but sort of not touched any spray equipment for probably 25 years, I would think.
Mm.
And, the sort of the spray work I was doing back in the day was industrial.
Was that?
Your masking was, you didn't need to bother masking a lot of the time, you
Yeah.
know. Because you were sort of spraying out industrial units on block work and stuff like that. But now that the spray equipment's got so much better, that people are spraying in sort of domestic situations, it's a whole new sort of learning experience, and something that you really need to get right from the very start, or else
Yeah.
you can make some expensive mistakes.
Someone with all your experience, someone new coming into the game, what would you advise them to get on straight away in terms of the type of jobs to do, the type of equipment to use?
What for spraying?
Just in general, like, you look at all over the years, you've done industrial, domestic, now you're spraying, kitchen, stuff like that.
I
What's
mean,
what's your sort of advice you would give?
looking at the trends now, I mean, something people really need to get into is spraying,
Mm.
but learning how to do it properly. And there's plenty of good sort of people doing spray courses out there, whether it's Paint Tech, whether it's a Bordeaux, whether it's Dulux Select.
Mm.
Um, Getting yourself on a good course now. It, there's not many sort of. I don't know what the educational system is like from apprenticeships now. So
Mm.
the college sort of training, I dare say they're not doing very much spraying in that sort of apprenticeship
Mm.
scheme.
I don't know for sure, but yeah, I couldn't imagine colleges,
Yeah, I
doing
mean,
much.
maybe there is a little bit, but I think, if you're sort of serious about getting into the game, and you know, whether you've been through an apprenticeship scheme or just coming into the trade, I think spraying is something that is obviously growing in the industry,
Mm.
and something everybody should get to learn about, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I've spoken to like a load of people on this podcast, and spraying does come up frequently. One chap was saying, he can earn well doing like garage doors and stuff,
Yeah,
sort of, in comparison to a brush and roller, the time it takes to do. I know you got the setup and the cleaning up, but the time it takes a lot quicker, better finish. There's little niche areas, isn't there, where you could kind of
Yeah,
earn
I
some
mean,
good
don't get me
money.
wrong. I think everybody needs to learn the basics first, and
Sure. Yeah.
being good on the brush and the roller will it teaches you how to be a good sprayer.
Yes.
You know what levels of finish you need to be aiming for.
Yeah.
You know, um, we've both been on the brush and roller long enough to know that way before spraying was even as popular it is now.
Yeah.
You need to get those basics right first before you can proceed. But anybody who's sort of looking at getting into the trade, I think once you've sort of mastered these basic skills of prep, everything like that, you know, getting a spray gun in your hands going to earn you some money.
Yeah. But you still got to like, even like people that miscoat and spray, you
Yeah,
still got to get all the prep right.
yeah. I
You
mean,
can't just
don't
spray over it if there's all plaster snots all over it
no,
all, and
and
it's not as simple as that, is it?
no, and don't see it as a way to sort of earn you more money, sort of straight away. I mean, that'll come.
Mm.
Um, just make sure that you're making as fewer mistakes as possible when you're spraying, because we'll all, anybody who's ever picked up a spray gun and is spraying seriously now, we all started making mistakes,
Mm.
and cocking up and cleaning up overspray from somewhere it shouldn't be,
Mm.
but I think getting a good sort of base in spraying, and whether that's sort of on an industrial level or whether that's spraying kitchens or just in domestics,
Mm.
you know the finish is better and quicker. People will tell you it's you know can paint that ceiling as fast as I can, by a brush and roller.
Yeah.
And and don't get me wrong, there's plenty of times I just brush and roll stuff, ceilings, woodwork. I like being on the brush and roller. I don't really spray walls. What I'll do is I'll go in and spray a ceiling if I think it's a job I can spray on.
Yeah.
I'll spray the woodwork if I think it's a job I can spray on. But I'll sort of always brush and roll the walls because I like having a brush in my hand.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I over a number of years I've done hand painted kitchens,
Yeah.
and a few comments have been like, "Oh, spray it," but the company I've only ever subbed for one company, this specific company. But it's just that's what they sell. They do spray as well, but they sell a hand painted finished kitchen. And loads of customers want it, and it does take time, and it's hard work, but it is very rewarding once it's done. It looks
Oh,
amazing.
yeah. I mean, I've been sort of working on kitchens since the early 90s.
Mm.
Sort of when I was sort of, I mean, I live in Leeds now, um, but originally I'm from over the other side of the Pennines in Lancashire, and I'm from Burnley originally. Um, and I used to work for a sort of a high-end bespoke kitchen manufacturer over there. And I mean, back in the early 90s, they were putting kitchens in that were costing 30, 40, 50 grand then. Sort of
Yeah.
all made out of MDF, and they'd have a big showroom with different sort of kitchens in and different colours and things like that. And I'd sort of, I can't even remember how I got involved with them, but I sort of started doing their hand painting. So they'd sort of go in, install a kitchen, um, and then I'd go and sort of fill up all this sort of cracks on the cornice and the end panels and go and give it a couple of coats of paint.
Yeah.
Um, and pick up
But
the residual sort of decorating work around the kitchen as well. So it was and you were always in sort of really nice properties because obviously they're shelling out 30, 40 grand on a
yeah.
brand new kitchen. So they were good properties.
Do you know what?
So
That's very, very similar to my path. So I don't recall how I got involved, but like you say, you do the kitchen and they're high-end properties, and that's
yeah,
pretty much been my work for the last 10 years, I would say. I
it's
work,
great work, isn't it?
people say about, struggling for work and stuff like that, and I know it's slow out there right now, but if you connect with lots of local companies, one of them being someone that does high-end kitchens, just off the back of that, you can generate so much work. And
Oh, I mean, it kept me sort of. I mean, I wasn't sort of working for them directly. I mean, I had my own business,
yeah,
sort of
same,
doing other stuff, same
same.
as you, Gary.
Yeah,
And they'd ring me up, and they knew I'd be there when they wanted me there. So it was we all tied in lovely. You know, they'd perhaps finish on a Friday, and I'd be there Monday morning, ready to sort
yeah,
of get on with it, and things would roll nicely.
yeah.
And
Equally
you,
as well, I couldn't do it full time, so it was nice to.
no,
It paid
and I
good.
didn't want it. I didn't want to be full time with it either,
No,
putting all the eggs in one basket, as we say. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, I think that's good advice. Like just connecting with companies, connecting with other trades as well.
yeah,
If you can find a good plasterer, connecting with.
where are you finding one of them, Gary?
I luckily know a few, but like, just connecting with them because there's work ready to go, isn't there?
Yeah,
After trades.
yeah, and
Um,
we should all be connected, really. I
yeah,
find it difficult. I mean, I'm a seriously organised sort of person from that point of view. I like to communicate well with all my customers,
yeah,
organise sort of with dates and things like that. I never sort of oversell myself really on sort of promises,
mm,
with timings and stuff like that. I'm always honest. But I usually find it difficult working with builders because, you know, they're not as organised, are they?
no, no,
They sort of they'll say, "Oh, something's ready," and they'll sort of send you a picture of the room that's ready to do, and you think, "How the hell's that ready? It's full of stuff. It's full of dust, stuff leaning up against the walls, and that is not ready. I'm off."
My
You
worst
know.
job ever was a 6 bedroom, 6 en suites. It was like a massive house in Harpenden, nice
Right.
area. Got all the decoration, is everything, all the sash windows. It was an old house. I put loads of money on it. I thought, yeah, and I got it. I was like, yes, brilliant. It was amazing. That was probably the least profitable job I had
Yeah.
because it was a pain in the ass. Like you'd get a room done, like you say, the plumber would go in, lean up a bath against the blooming wall, or
Oh yeah.
like doors,
Yeah.
and oh, it's just I was just going round and round in circles.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get to the bottom of it, and it was awful. It was one of the
But
worst ones I had.
it's usually down to poor organisation, isn't it?
Yeah, the dust as well, and oh
Yeah.
my God, it was just it's yeah. To this day, I remember that job, and it was just horrible. I much prefer not to be on a job so long, to be honest.
Yeah, and when you sort of wince a little bit, don't you, when somebody says, "Oh, builder might still be here," and you're like,
Oh dear
"Great,
me.
thank you."
Yeah, and those sort of jobs as well. The toilets are not working, so you got there's portaloos, there's no running water, and just especially now. I done one recently actually for this company I do the kitchens for, but it was a building site, and every
Right.
trade was in there, and it was winter. All the doors were open, the
Yeah.
dust, and I was like, I can't paint it. It's like it's hand paint. They like got to paint it. It's a deadline, and that was a
What?
long
So they
ass
let you
two
paint the
weeks.
kitchen?
Sorry.
They let you paint the kitchen in
Yeah,
conditions like that?
yeah.
Oh, God.
With all the trades around me, sparkies, blinds were going up, flooring was going. It was just, it was chaos, and I hated every minute of it. But when you want to do a good job, it's like, how can you do a good job?
Well,
We've
it's
all
hard
been there.
sometimes. But, I mean, I care about what work I put out there, and it winds me up when people don't.
Yeah. So do you have guys working for you, or have you had them in the past, or?
No, I mean, I've always sort of worked on my own. At odd time when I was back in sort of Burnley doing jobs, you know, I needed a room stripping or a bit of a hand. I sort of had guys who were on dole at the time who sort of come and do a bit of stripping for me, and I had a guy who sort of he was all right on the brushes. I'd give him a bit of work occasionally, but never sort of actually employed anybody at
No.
all.
And how
I
have you
mean,
found working on your own over the years?
Well, originally when I started off in a partnership.
Mm.
So after I'd sort of finished my apprenticeship back in the day, we sort of, the company I was working for had sort of hit a bit of a quiet time, and at the time, they'd just lay you off. They'd say, well, it'd be Friday, and they'd say, well, don't come in Monday, we've not for you.
Mm.
So this had happened a couple of times back in the early 90s, so I was probably just fresh out of my apprenticeship, really. And the guy who was similar to me, we'd done a couple of what we call foreigners. I don't know what you call them down south in Leeds. They call them govies. I call them foreigners. So it's doing jobs on the side.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I know what you
Yeah.
mean now.
Um,
Yeah.
so we worked on doing little jobs for ourselves over the sort of year or so we'd known each other. So we started up a little, his own little business after we'd been laid off. We'd got a Princess Trust grant, which you could get back then, and set up. But the partnership didn't last very long because the guy who went into partnership with he was a good decorator, but he didn't have the ability to sort of go out on a Sunday night and turn up to work on a Monday, which,
One of them.
plus at that time he was the driver.
Mm.
I hadn't sort of passed my driving test back then, so it was a case of if he didn't turn up, nobody
Yeah.
turned up. So
Yeah.
I think we probably did about 18 months together, maybe, and in that time I learned how to drive, and I got my own vehicle, and I was off on my own by then.
So you found it okay over the years working by yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I've had periods of time where I'd sort of worked for people on a subcontractor, the old CIS card and the SC60, so I've gone into sort of working for companies on that self-employment ticket, done reasonable amounts of time doing stuff like that. And then I think it was actually the kitchen opportunity that came up that sort of I'd stopped working for the companies and went more on my own. And probably been solidly on my own now for sort of 30 years, I would think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's tough, the solitude type of thing sort of is difficult sometimes. So, pre-COVID, where most people were sort of going out to work, so there'd be sort of periods of, you'd go to a job for maybe a couple of weeks and not see anybody all day, and
Yeah.
that's tough sometimes. But I've got used to it. I'll sort of put my cans on when I've got my sander running. I'll listen to podcasts like yours and other podcasts. I'm a huge football fan, so there's plenty of sort of football sort of stuff out there, audio books, music. So
Yeah, yeah.
it is tough, but I think I've just got used to it, and I don't mind my own company, to be perfectly
Yeah.
honest.
I don't. But that was one of my problems over the years. We had teams at various stages, but I think that's one of the reasons I set up Brush Wizards and just recently set up like the WhatsApp county hub. So at least
Yeah.
you've got people in your local county you can have a whinge with or connect with. And I really want to grow that over the coming years and have a nice support network for painters.
Yeah,
You know,
I think you sometimes think you don't need it, and then you do need it more than you think. And
Yeah.
it's great because, I'll come home and I'll speak to my wife, and she's no idea what I'm talking about half the time.
we don't want to know.
Work-wise, why would she know?
Yeah, yeah,
I'll speak to my daughter, and she's 17.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you need to speak to people that
you
understand
need to
it.
speak to like-minded people, and
Yeah.
going to trade events like the show at Coventry and stuff like that. It's just a good way to communicate. I mean, I don't even sort of really go into suppliers all that much either. So I'll for my sundries and stuff like that, I'll use my paintbrush, and so that all gets delivered. the paint I use, I ring it on a morning and they'll bring it by lunchtime.
Where'd you get your paint from?
So I use Weatherby Deck Centre, so Weatherby's not far from me. They supply the paint I use, so I'm a huge Benjamin Moore user.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They supply Benjamin Moore, and like I say, if you order it by 9:30 in the morning, it's delivered before lunchtime, so it's a great service.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'll just often call into the deck centre itself and just go in for a chat. I might pick up a quart or something or a litre or something and just go in for a chat. But I'm not in the suppliers every week or every day like I know some guys are. I mean, I've heard on the podcasts that certain people don't like ordering online and doing stuff like that. Well, I don't mind it. I mean, I used to spend Saturday mornings going down to the trade shop and getting stuff for the next week where, Saturday mornings you should be spending it either doing other things or with your family, So
I think it's just habits, and I think it will change. Like, I just feel it's like, well, I think, like you said, popping in for a chat helps painters, so they've got some sort of connection. I think that is a big factor, in all honesty. But also, some of us are perhaps a bit like dinosaurs, but we just need to get into the habit of ordering online because it's so efficient. We all order from Amazon now, so I think more and more online sales will go up and up.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's down to a lot of the suppliers getting their sort of delivery systems right. So, I mean, I've been working with Benjamin Moore paints since they came into the country 10 years ago. I mean, I was one of the early sort of users. There's a couple of products that I used first in the country. Yeah. So getting on board with them sort of 10 years ago plus now, I mean, I met sort of the people there when they first showed at Coventry. So they got their delivery systems right straight away. So they were selling a new product. If you ordered by sort of 2 o'clock, you'd have it next day. So that worked for me.
Does your local shop stock Benjamin Moore?
Yeah, so they stock all the Benjamin Moore. So I'd often order direct from Benjamin Moore at Slough before that. And when Weatherby Deck Centre took Benjamin Moore on, I sort of moved to using them as my supplier. Obviously, it's more local, but it works two ways because I go and sort of do work with them. Sort of, they'll have trade events some days, and I'll go as an in between. So they want to sell Benjamin Moore to more of their deckies.
Yes.
But I'll go and give my point of view about the product, and it's good for a decorator to speak to another decorator about, the products in their range,
so
rather than hearing it from a sales rep.
Yeah. Quick fire questions then. Benjamin Moore product for woodwork, what do you use?
Scuffex.
Oh, there's a few debates over that, isn't there? But I like it. For walls, what do you use? What do you tend to?
My favourite product actually is Regal Flat.
Okay.
It sort of sits in the mid-range, so when you're doing sort of work with skim coating products, sort of the Dalla Pro and the Tupre skim, all the roller sort of products now, Regal Flat is that good sort of product that kills any sort of imperfections in the wall dead straight away.
Yeah.
And it's got a really good sort of durability rating as well.
Is it?
So yeah, it's Regal Flat for me.
Do they have a specific ceiling paint?
They do, and I used to use this sort of ceiling paint, which is good. The only issue is that obviously Benjamin Moore, it's quite expensive. So I mean, I've sort of moved away from the ceiling paint now because I just couldn't sort of justify it.
Yeah. Price-wise
on jobs, you were sort of, especially when you're in a sort of competitive market where, basically you could be looking at 2 or 3 other decorators coming to look at a job and you don't know what they're sort of chucking in on their materials. It could be sort of Jonos or Dulux or whatever, sometimes you sort of think, well, a couple of gallon of sealing paint, and that could be sort of
What do you use for
120
sealing?
quid. I'm on Technos now, so
Are
I'm
you?
lucky that the Weatherby Deck Centre carry Technos as well. So, uh, I'm using Technos for my ceilings.
And what do you use? Brushes, rollers. What's your go-to at the moment?
I'm not all that fussy on the brushes and rollers. I'll
Mm.
sort of use what's about, but I like Proform brushes and Fossa brushes. Um, yeah,
I
I'm
think
not a
they're
slave to one brand on brushes.
no,
I've got a delivery coming today, so I've got some Arrow-worthy sort of blue vein rollers coming today. I've got some Hamiltons in the garage ready to go.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. There's always plenty of talk around it, isn't there? But I think there's multiple products which are really good. In all honesty,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Right, Gareth. Well, just looking at the time, I've kept you for 46 minutes. I don't want to. If you got a day off, I don't want to ruin the rest of it.
Don't worry about that.
But
They never days off, are they? There's
no, they're
always
not.
something
No,
to do,
I'm
and
just saying, like, honestly, my day's manic.
yeah,
If I'm not
when you sort
painting,
of
Brush Wizards takes up a lot of time, which is brilliant
yeah,
because I really love it. Um,
when you
but I
when you're
appreciate you
trying to
coming
run
on.
two
And
businesses.
yeah, yeah, we were saying how do you do both? But Spray Dogz looks brilliant. Um, I wish you all the success for it. You deserve
Yeah, I
it.
mean, it's a
I
start.
admire people that do something different and try and create some extra income and stuff.
Yeah, well, it's this. Hopefully, it's the start. I've got a couple of ideas in mind for the sort of next products for the brand. Don't want to run before I can walk.
No,
Obviously, want to see how this sort of initial product goes. But yeah, I've got things in mind.
yeah,
And like I said to you when we chatted earlier, the sort of the idea behind Spray Dogz and wanting to run with it was my daughter wants to go to university, and I'm looking for an extra revenue stream to sort of help out with that sort of
yeah,
financial deficit I'm going to face in my bank account. But
yeah.
um,
Well, we all need extra money, don't we? With what's going
yeah,
on right now, it's you got to work. Whatever you say, you got to work hard at decorating, really hard.
yeah, and yeah, I think also, I mean, having been in the trade for 40 years, what I've noticed over the last 12 months is it's taking a toll on the
Mm,
body.
yeah,
Now, if Spray Dogz does take off like I want it to do, I want to sort of go into sort of spraying kitchens full time.
yeah,
So, where I can get myself a little workshop set up with a spray booth in there, and the little workshop unit can house all the sort of Spray Dog stuff because my garage is bulging at the moment.
yeah,
My wife's had it all since sort of the middle of last year, where the kitchen's been full of stuff. My loft is full of boxes.
yeah,
My wardrobe's full of your merch, and
yeah,
it's one of them things where it'd be a good checkpoint to sort of make my mind up on where I'm going with my own business.
yeah,
And I think as decorators, we've got to think about the future. It is a hard trade to be in, and
absolutely. And
when
that's
I've
why
been
I
in it,
always talk to guests and see where potentially they earn like the most money, but for it being less sort of taxing on your body. And I
yeah,
think that's important to stuff like that to consider as you get a bit older.
yeah, look after yourself physically and mentally out there, boys and girls.
Yeah. All right, Gareth, I'm going to press stop. I'll say a quick goodbye when I press stop. But I appreciate you coming on, mate.
Yeah, thanks for your time, Gary. And it's been great to showcase Spray Dogz out there, and hopefully everybody sort of picks up on it, and anybody who's interested can go and sign up.
Definitely, mate. Take care.
Cheers, mate. Thank
All
you.
right.